In Brazil, the Supreme Federal Court will begin to examine on Wednesday the action that discusses the violence and lethality of the police that prevails in favelas and communities in the state of Rio de Janeiro. Such case was based only for the manifestations of the parties and entities involved in the process. The case in question was called ADPF of Favelas and is used to question violations of fundamental rights guaranteed in the Constitution. That action was inserted in 2019 by the Brazilian Socialist Party and the human rights entities and social movements that asked to be recognized by the STF the situation of serious violation of rights committed by security forces in the Carioca favelas. In Argentina, the third Federal Educational March was held this November 12th. Students, teachers, and other members of the educational community marched in several points of the country to defend the public university and demand an increase in the educational budget. The mobilization sought to make visible the critical salary and budgetary situation that public education is going through in view of the lack of funding caused by the government of Javier Milei, who vetoed the university financing law. In Buenos Aires, several sectors such as health and aeronautics supported the measure in the vicinity of the obelisco. Demonstrators were intimidated by a huge and disproportionate presence of police. And in El Salvador, family members proof of life of prisoners under the emergency regime established on March 22, 2022, on the government of Nayib Bukele. Through the Proof of Life campaign, hundreds of Salvadoran families are demanding authorities to inform about the status of many people detained without clear evidence or valid charges. The lack of access to prisoners and prohibition of visits have contributed to the uncertainty, since they do not know where their family members are or even if they are alive. According to reports from different human rights organizations, approximately 30,000 of the 83,000 detainees are innocent. And the Russian Minister of Emergency Situations, Alexander Kurenkov, arrived in Havana, Cuba, to strengthen bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The high-ranking official was received by Russia's ambassador to Cuba, Victor Coronelli, together with representatives of the Caribbean country. Precisely, the diplomat's visit, aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation in the area of natural disasters mitigation, comes in the midst of the energy crisis the island faces after the strike of Hurricanes Oscar and Rafael, and the perceptible earthquake that hit the eastern region. The outgoing President of the United States, Joe Biden, will receive the Republican Donald Trump on November 13th in the Oval Office to begin a transfer of power that Democrats promise will be peaceful with its worst political enemy. 2 days after the clear victory of the Republican against Kamala Harris, Biden pledged to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power. The meeting will take place in the Oval Office and will be the first step in that process heading into Donald Trump's second term. While defeated, the vice president, a former Democratic candidate, also pledged to help Trump in the transfer of power, statements that contrast with the attitude of the Republican following the 2020 elections. Also in the United States, President-elect Donald Trump announced his choice of Tesla and social media ex-owner Elon Musk to head a new government efficiency department, along with former Republican candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Trump claimed that together they will pave the way for his administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, reduce excess regulations, cut wasteful spending, and restructure federal agencies. The new Department of Government Efficiency will provide guidance from outside the U.S. government, work with the administration and budget authorities to drive large-scale structural reform, and create an entrepreneurial approach to government. In Brazil, the Supreme Federal Court will begin to examine on Wednesday the action that discusses the violence